It's Daddy Classy Dill taking them to the half-mile pole, 3 lengths clear of Aventap in second. At the rail, M is for Magic third, followed by our Swervin' Gervin 5 off the leader. Then Irish Patsy joined by Miss Lizzie. Daddy Classy Dill, the long shot leader, still has it a little more than 2. Aventap closing in though, and here's Aventap. And in the blink of an eye, Aventap up alongside Daddy Classy Dill as the field turns for home. M is for Magic in third. At the rail, Irish Patsy, followed by our Swervin' Gervin and Miss Lizzie. There's an 8th to go. Aventap, M is for Magic on the outside. Closing in, it's Aventap. M is for Magic. Irish Patsy on the inside. A 3-way driving finish. M is for Magic. Won it. Irish Patsy just missed. Aventap third, then Miss Lizzie. Royale Delta completes the lineup. And they're off. Applefest very fast away from the gate, and Applefest will establish a clear-cut advantage. Delightful Heart comes through on the inside of Royale Delta. They're followed by Mind and Refined, and Guitar Girl being pulled up early. Guitar Girl is out of it. It is Applefest taking them to the half-mile pole, cruising with a 2-length advantage. Royale Delta is in second, followed by Delightful Heart, and Mind and Refined inches up on the outside, willingly to take third. They have to catch Applefest. Applefest takes them to the 3/8 pole, a length and a half in front of Royale Delta. Mind and Refined, a 3-wide bid, and then comes Delightful Heart. Heading to the quarter pole, it's Applefest, who's been there every step of the way. Royale Delta trying to get a little bit closer. At the rail, Delightful Heart, Mind and Refined, flattens out. Delightful Heart comes off the rail to chase Applefest with a furlong left to go. And here's Delightful Heart. Delightful Heart, hand-ridden, goes right on by. And it's Delightful Heart opening up past the 16th pole for a very nice-looking victory. Delightful Heart wins it by 3. Second goes to Applefest, Royale Delta, and Mind and Refined. In the gate. And they're off. Too Much Heaven is going to the front. Dolly May comes away second. Majestic Steps now sprints up to come after Too Much Heaven. But Too Much Heaven is quicker and has the lead while racing in hand. Majestic Steps will be second, and Jibber Jabber 2 off the pace in third. Dolly May, Whistler's Style at the back of the field. Into the first turn, and it's Too Much Heaven controlling the pace with 5.5 furlongs to go. Majestic Steps in second, followed by Jibber Jabber, comfortably placed in third. Then it's Dolly May and Whistler's Style together at the back. Giovanni Franco and Too Much Heaven by a length to Majestic Steps, coming to the half-mile pole. The lead now up to 2. Jibber Jabber, Dolly May, Whistler's Style compact behind front-running Too Much Heaven, who sails past the half-mile pole in charge. Jibber Jabber now takes second on the inside and a tad tight at this stage. Majestic Steps is just on the outside. Whistler's Style has made an early bid to take third. Majestic Steps dropping out of it, and Dolly May in the red. It's Too Much Heaven, who could not have had an easier lead, past the quarter pole, in command. Jibber Jabber second, then Whistler's Style top of the stretch. Too Much Heaven still with a 2-length lead on Jibber Jabber, trying to close the gap with one final try. The favorites are dominating. Too Much Heaven, Jibber Jabber. Too Much Heaven, a length and a half. Jibber Jabber trying hard to close the gap at the final stage. It's going to be very close. Too Much Heaven all the way. Jibber Jabber about a neck short. Dolly May third. Whiskey Outlaw. Was in. And they're off. Blonde Bombshell and Assuredly will duel, and they've opened up 4. Then it's Whiskey Outlaw and Shambhala Girl at the back of the field. Assuredly, Blonde Bombshell have sped 4 clear of Whiskey Outlaw. Shambhala Girl is 6 lengths off the battle up top between Assuredly, who leads the way by about a half length. Blonde Bombshell now a length behind second. 3 more Whiskey Outlaw and a similar margin, Shambhala Girl. They have 3/8 of a mile to go, and it's Assuredly just a neck in front now. Blonde Bombshell right to her. Good trip for Whiskey Outlaw, now coming after the top pair with a 3-wide bid as Blonde Bombshell takes the lead with a 1/4 of a mile to go. Whiskey Outlaw moves up on the outside of Assuredly. They have 3/16 to run, and Blonde Bombshell is the one to catch. Set down, opens up 2 on Whiskey Outlaw. At the rail, Assuredly is in third, coming to the 16th pole, and Blonde Bombshell pours it on through the stretch under Kyle Frey. Blonde Bombshell romps home by 7 widening lengths. Whiskey Outlaw, Assuredly, and Shambhala Girl. We're in the gate. And they're off, and Lucky for You flies out of the gate. Heels Up comes away in second. Awesome Taylor hustled up at the rail as they move into the first turn. Tecumseh Caroline is in the mix early on, 3 wide and about 2 lengths off the pace, and Trouville went around all of them. Lucky for You gets over to the fence, coming to the 6 furlong pole. Tecumseh Caroline is 3/4 back in second under a hold. And just behind them, Trouville, Heels Up, is steadying in traffic. And Awesome Taylor is down at the rail. 3 lengths covers them onto the backstretch. Lucky for You is the target. With Tecumseh Caroline a half length back in second. 1.5 lengths, Trouville third. Then Awesome Taylor, Heels Up, now by herself at the back. 5 lengths from front to back. And it's Lucky for You dictating the terms. Prompted by Tecumseh Caroline past the half-mile pole. 1.5 lengths, Trouville racing on the outside of Awesome Taylor, and now 5 to Heels Up. 3 furlongs out, Lucky for You. Tecumseh Caroline applying the pressure, but still ahead behind. 3 more to Trouville in third, and then Awesome Taylor. Match race coming to the 1/4 pole. Tecumseh Caroline, white blinkers on the outside, puts her head in front. Lucky for You is asked to counter. These two have dominated. Top of the stretch, Tecumseh Caroline on the outside, and Lucky for You. Tecumseh Caroline gets the upper hand with a furlong left to go. Lucky for You not done, coming right back, and Lucky for You puts her neck in front again at the 16th pole. Tecumseh Caroline fully extended, but it's Lucky for You prevailing. And Lucky for You opens up to win it by almost 2 lengths. Tecumseh Caroline second, Heels Up a distant third. Will be the last one to load. They're in the gate. And they're off. Kawasaki sprints out of the gate. Belmont Bill comes away smoothly too. And they're joined by Overrule. And Overrule crosses and clears easily and makes the lead. Port Royal is now in third behind Belmont Bill. Kawasaki settles in fourth, moving into the first turn. Then comes The Key is Unity with the yellow cap about 6 lengths off, now 7 or 8 off that loose leader. Carpe Bellum is down on the inside. Another 3 lengths to Stop and a Tray, who's just in front of Russell's Hustle. It's another couple of lengths to Leoc Aloysius on the inside of Secret Treasure. 2 more to an unhurried Storm the Night. And Sippin' Whiskey is at the back of the field. They head to the half-mile pole with Overrule in front, Belmont Bill in hot pursuit second, just a length and a half off, and it's a gap of 7 or 8 lengths. Back to the Key is Unity, inching up outside Port Royal. Kawasaki is next, Carpe Bellum. Another 2 back to Russell's Hustle. Down on the inside, Stop in a Tray with the orange cap. Racing a couple of lengths in front of Secret Treasure coming toward the quarter pole. Then Storm the Night, Laoc, Aloysius, and 4 more to Sippin' Whiskey. A quarter of a mile to go. Overrule has been there throughout. The Key is Unity, moves to engage. Center of the course, Russell's Hustle is trying to get a piece of it. And Kawasaki's had a good trip, closing some ground late. In the meantime, Overrule just keeps on going. And it's Overrule by 2 close to home. Kawasaki, a final try. Overrule all the way. Kawasaki was second. The Key is Unity finished third. And then it's a photo for fourth involving Stop in a Tray and Belmont Bill. Big Swede to the outside. And they're off. Sir Flatter in the center is quick. Economical has speed. Crixus Flash, very hard-ridden for early foot as well. And so it's these 3 into the first turn. Crixus Flash intent on getting to the front, battling it out with Economical. Those 2 are head and head. And outside of them, Sir Flatter continues on the pace in third. Big Swede is a little bit headstrong in fourth. He's just 2.5 lengths off the leader. And Careless Kitten is down at the rail. A gap of 6 back to Crypto Money. And 2 more to an unhurried Big Splash. Down the back stretch, and now Economical takes over. It's Economical in front, about 3/4. Sir Flatter on the outside second, followed by Crixus Flash, losing ground steadily. Big Swede up alongside. Careless Kitten is angled outside of that pair, about 4 lengths off the lead. A gap of a half dozen to Big Splash outside Crypto Money. 3 furlongs out, Economical and Sir Flatter on even terms. Big Swede, Careless Kitten moving up on the outside fourth, only 2 lengths off the pace. Careless Kitten taking third now and coming after the top pair with a quarter of a mile to go. And there goes Careless Kitten with a wide bid, taking the lead at the top of the stretch. Opening up to Big Swede will try to run after Careless Kitten in the final 1/8 of a mile. Careless Kitten has built up a 3-length advantage. Big Swede is in second, followed by Economical and Sir Flatter. Careless Kitten geared down. The brakes are on, and he's home free. A 4-length victory. Big Swede was second. Economical third. Big Splash up for fourth in front of Sir Flatter. Skya. All in line. And they're off. Cherry Chaos in the center of the course is pretty quick. Love Our Family comes away in the top flight, and Sapadilla moves up to go after the front-running Cherry Chaos. Then it's Boganskaya racing on the outside. Smooth as Silk is eager in between horses under a tight hold at this stage. Down at the rail, the favorite Timely Luck is about 5 lengths off the leader as they swing on to the backstretch. Then comes Warrior Lady racing toward the back of the field. Yvette Surprise, Tap It Rocks. And on the outside of that is Betsy is the coat, who went very wide. Onto the backstretch, and it's Cherry Chaos leading the way by a length. Sapadilla is in second. Love Our Family third. Timely Luck has made it up to fourth pretty easily, 3.5 off the leader. Smooth as Silk is next with less than a half mile left to go. Then Warrior Lady inching up on the inside of Boganskaya. That pair is followed by Yvette Surprise. Betsy is the code. And Tap It Rocks now at the back. Cherry Chaos 2-length lead midway on the far turn. Timely Luck moving into second along the inside. Following her is Smooth as Silk in the purple. Outside is Sapadilla, still third at this stage. Top of the stretch, Cherry Chaos and Timely Luck taking aim in second. Timely Luck up alongside Cherry Chaos. Late run from Warrior Lady down on the inside, but it's Timely Luck passing the 16th pole in control and opening up. Timely Luck will win it convincingly. It's going to be close for second. Warrior Lady closing stoutly to complete the exacta. Third goes to Yvette Surprise. Then it was Cherry Chaos, and close to complete the super high five between Tap It Rocks and Smooth as Silk.
Hey everybody, and a happy Friday. Delighted you decided to spend all or part of your day with us. It's another beautiful day here at the Great Race Place. And believe it or not, we are on countdown here at Sania. That's right, after this weekend, just 4 more weekends of racing. But don't you worry, we've got a lot planned for you. Of course, this weekend on Saturday, it's the Preakness Stakes at our sister track, Pimlico Racecourse in Baltimore, Maryland. Next weekend, we've got 4 days of racing. That's because it's Memorial Day weekend, highlighted on Memorial Day by the Grade 1 Shoemaker Mile, which is a Breeders' Cup win in your in race. Also, of course, on June 10th, we've got the Belmont Stakes from Belmont Park, the 3rd and final leg of the Triple Crown. And then to wrap it up on Friday, June 18th is closing day, which of course will feature mandatory payout in the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. But a gentleman who's been around the racetrack for at least the 3 decades, first as a trainer and now as a jockey agent, is my seminar guest today. His name, Jack Carrabba. Jack, happy Friday. Welcome to the seminar.
Thank you, Tom.
It's great to have you here. I looked up your statistics, 1,107 victories as a trainer. Seems like a different lifetime ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a little bit different these days, but I've thoroughly enjoyed my years with the horses and missed the horses themselves. But this is an interesting, and I like this job as well.
Well, let's talk about you being a jockey agent. You're the agent for both Kyle Frey and Giovanni Franco. And Kyle had a great week last weekend. He won 2 on Friday, 2 on Sunday. Nothing like winning, right? To bring up some momentum and have some trainers give you a jingle on the cell phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Kyle, when they had this meet split, and the first few weeks, he had a little bit of a slow start, and then had a great week last week. I think, as you stated, I think he ended up winning 4 or 5 that week. He won 1 on Saturday as well, and then the week prior, Giovanni had a really good week and then won 1 last week. So they're coming right along, and everything's been really good.
What is it about being a jockey agent that you like? You said you like the transition over. Do you like still coming out in the mornings? Do you like, kind of hanging out with the trainers? What is it about being a jockey agent that you like, Jack?
I think it's, it's not, other than the horses themselves, it's not a huge change in lifestyle for me. I still keep trainers' hours. I come out real early in the mornings, and I'm able to talk to all my friends and stuff like that, and it kind of keeps me in the loop. And my lifestyle really hasn't changed that much. You're watching races. I probably watch more races now as a jockey agent, watch them all. And when I was training, it was more about my own horses and stuff like that, or looking for claims, but. Nowadays, it's more about scouting horses potentially for my guys.
I would imagine being a successful trainer as well as a successful jockey agent is being able to read the condition book. The condition book, of course, has changed these days. Now we see maidens that are 3-year-olds running against 4- and 5-year-olds. We never saw that in the past. What are some of the things maybe you see from a condition book standpoint that maybe either help or hinder your success?
Well, the condition book has obviously changed over the years, and I think it's gotten where it's more, I think it's more focused on trying to get the biggest fields possible. Sure. And then with the shrinking fields sizes in general, they're trying to do the best they can. So it's not anywhere near the condition book that I used to read, when I first was training. There was more set levels and stuff like that. Now you see way, way more starter allowance races, stuff
trying
like
to help the horsemen as well.
Yeah, and then you'll have mixed races where you'll have 3-year-olds, 3-year-olds, or that have, a 3-year-old that could have won many races, or 3 and up that are non-2s. They've mixed and matched, and they've tried to. The racing department has tried to, build field size as best they can, but it's definitely a different field than it was when I was training, at least the first part of the years when I was training.
It's a thankless job, that's for sure. Let's circle back in history and talk about your career as a trainer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you started out, were you not an assistant, or did you not work for Jerry Fanning?
Yes, I worked for my father for many years here in Northern California. And then I went to my first job away from my own family was I worked for Joe Griffin, who's been a jockey agent over the years, but he trained horses back in the 80s, and I worked for Joe for a while. And then after I worked for Joe, I went to work for Jerry Fanning.
He had a lot of nice horses.
Yeah. And at the time I went to work for him, Jerry had a huge stable, even by today's standards. In those days, if you had 30 horses, you had a lot. We had probably, when I went to work for him, well over 100.
Wow.
And so I was always typically on the second string at Hollywood Park. And I worked for him for close to 12 years and then went out on my own. And the last 4 or 5 years that I was with Jerry, he let me have a horse or 2 or 3 on the side. And so I was already running horses on my own, even though I was still his assistant.
Kyle Frey, as I mentioned, is one of the jockeys that you represent as an agent, Jack. What are some of the positive attributes that Kyle brings to the table? In other words, is he mild-mannered? Is he temperamental? Is he even-keeled? We see him on the racetrack, and of course, he's a high-tier jockey. But what's he like as a person?
He's he's a great person. He's young. He's a great guy. I think he's still untapped talent. I think the talent is there to take it to the next level. And Kyle is a rider that when he's doing well and riding, I should say we're not even riding well, but when he's doing well and we're able to get on some good horses and he's able to get some wins, it really builds on itself.
Confidence.
He's a momentum. He's definitely a momentum jock more than any jock that I've personally seen. The more he's winning, the better he rides. And but he's a great kid, and he's a very, very hard worker. I mean, I've worked for him for probably a year and a half now, and very hard worker in the morning. Anything I throw at him, he's willing to do, and he's willing to go that extra mile. And I think it's made a big difference. I think places that he's ridden in the past, in the East Coast and even up north, he was a little bit more at the top of the standings up north. And so I don't think he had to work as hard as he has to work now, but I think he's fallen into that and embraced it. That's just a way of life in Southern California. You're going to have to work, and you have to work a lot of horses. And he's really, really gone above and beyond, and it's shown in the afternoons.
Speaking of work, we're going to put trainer Jack Carrabba to the test and make him handicap 8 races. He also represents Giovanni Franco. Don't worry, Giovanni. We're going to talk about you after we return from the early scratches that Frank Miramati is about to give us.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. The track is fast, the turf is firm, the rail on the turf is out 30 feet. Here are the early changes. First race starts the 50-cent early pick 5. Number 2, Snap Daddy, 1 pound over. 6, Mafia Man, 2 pounds over. Scratch. Number 8, Zafiro Anejo. Number 8, scratched out of race 1. In the second race, there are no changes. Race 3 starts the Rainbow Pick 6, $126,000 in the jackpot carryover. Number 2, Commissioner H, carries 2 pounds over. Scratch number 5, Unzip Me Lord. Number 5 is scratched out of the third. And there is a revised morning line for race 3. The fourth, number 3, Tenacious Lady, 2 pounds over. 4, Storm Doro, 3 pounds over. Turning to the fifth, scratch number 3, Sanger. And scratch number 5, Stylishly Acclaimed. Numbers 3 and 5 are scratched. Number 2, Uncle John, is 3 pounds over. And number 7, Infinite Experience, 2 pounds over. Oddsmaker John White has issued a revised morning line for race 5. In the 6, scratch number 7, Ziwa Tanejo. Race 6, scratch number 7. 7 starts the Golden Hour pick 4. Just the blinker note. And the 8th race is the start of the Golden Hour double. Number 8, Street Mogul, 3 pounds over. Enjoy your day at the Great Race Place. Let's go back to Quigley's Corner. Tom Quigley's guest today is Jack Carrabba.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Jack Carrabba. Us old timers remember him as the trainer, primarily for La Cañada Stables. He was a very impressive and successful trainer. He had 1,107 victories under his belt as a trainer, but now he shifted responsibilities. He's now the jockey agent for both Kyle Frey and Giovanni Franco. We sung the praises before the break, Jack, on Kyle. We talked about how he basically needs a lot of confidence in order to, basically success begets success, right? Basically, correct. If you make a free throw, all of a sudden you feel like you can make every single free throw. That's true in all aspects of life, and Kyle certainly fits that kind of category. But Giovanni is obviously his own different person. You represent him. He used to ride at Oaklawn Park. He decided to come back to Southern California. How'd you guys hook up, and what's he like?
You know, Giovanni gave me a call a few months back and let me know that he was coming back and asked me to go to work for him. And I've always been a fan of his. You know, Giovanni's a rider that horses just have a tendency to run for. They like him, and his style is a little different than Kyle's. Probably more horses from off the pace type of thing. You know, he's obviously adaptable, can do whatever he needs to do under the circumstances, but horses relax real well for him, finish real well. And I think his strong suit is probably long turf races is where I've been most impressed with him. Short and long, but grass in general. I think he really rides good races on the turf. And he's been another one, just super guy to work for and hardworking as well. And he was really looking to, he's really, he just got back not too long ago, but he's really looking to reestablish himself long term here. And I think this is where he's decided that he wants to stay. And I think he's really working hard towards that end and trying to make sure that he's firmly entrenched here with a lot of mounts. And another thing, Giovanni, a few years back had some physical issues with his knees and so forth that he's addressed and gotten fixed. And he was telling me the other day how much better he feels these days. Has gotten with some outside physical trainers that have really, really helped him along those way. And so he says he just feels a lot better in general, and he's not fighting some of the ailments that he had in the past.
It's a year-round profession. Of course, there's not any other sport where the athletes have to perform year-round. You talk about their physical state of mind and also their mental state of mind as well as important. What role do you play, Jack? Are you kind of just a coach? Are you kind of a parent? Is it kind of a combination of the two in terms of trying to not only get them rides and obviously live mounts, but also maybe just manage them from a human being standpoint?
Sure. No, absolutely. And like I said, I've been a little guilty of maybe throwing a lot of work at them their way, but they've been able to handle that. And it's a necessary evil. And but physically, both those guys are in really good shape. Racing now, with obviously being down to 3 days a week, there's, they need to stay active in the mornings as well, because we just don't race as much. And so, you ride, even if you ride 5 a day, 3 days a week, 15 horses, they still need to stay active the rest of the week. And both my guys are, they do a lot off the track. They share with me a lot. They do a lot of gym work. A lot of, stretching type of exercises, stuff like that.
Do they run around the turf course here at Santa Anita? I see a lot of jocks out there before we do the seminar taking a little spin around the turf course. Yeah,
well, my two I don't think do, but they're more off the track. They go to the gym a lot, do a lot of stuff there, have, like I said, personal trainers. I know Kyle does. We live kind of in the same general area, and he was telling me that he does do, on the off days, does a lot of running around the area where we live. And but they stay very, very active.
They're very committed to their profession, that's for sure. And you're saying that they're working hard. And one more question before we get your handicapping analysis, Jack. And that would be, during the winter meet, obviously we had a superstar jockey colony. We not only had Juan Hernandez, our leading rider, but we had Johnny V, we had Frankie Dettori, we had Flavian. Thankfully, from your standpoint, they've all left town. But how do you keep your guys kind of just motivated and dedicated? Because, of course, most of the mounts are going to go to those marquee riders. You've kind of got to pick up the crumbs and the pieces. How do you keep them motivated for that 3 or 4 month period?
Yeah, it's tough, but we discussed it between us that, before the meet started, obviously I've had Kyle year round for a while, and he knew going in, this was going to be a little bit of a tough go. The first part of the meet here, and Giovanni was just coming back for the beginning of this meet and was well aware of the situation jockey wise. And this particular winter was way, way more, tougher riders and than the last few.
Great for us horse players, but horrible for you jockey agents.
So it was just trying to stick and take care of your clients that you ride for. Even if you only ride a few for them, just take care of those people. Get on horses for them in the mornings. Keep the door. The thing I've discussed with both my riders, just keeping the door open is always, it ends up, you never know when guys are going to get hurt. Guys are out of town, and if you go in, even if you're working horses that you don't necessarily ride, and you're just helping big barns out with workers. A lot of times, if they can't get their rider or their rider's out of town for that weekend, they may look back and say, who worked this horse? And they'll look, and if you happen to work that horse, they'll probably put you on.
It's kind of like the NBA Pro League, and take a look at the Lakers right now. Their success in the playoffs, a lot of their success comes from their role players, the players on the bench, whether it's not the starting five, but their role players. They're actually making the team successful. Same thing with you. Just kind of keep your nose straight and clean. Stay focused, and at some point, some doors and opportunities will open, and you have to capitalize on those.
Oh, absolutely, and that's the key. And guys like Phil D'Amato has a huge barn, but when he gets his main guys out of town, a lot of times my guys are the guys he turns to replace them, and they've made the most of it. They've made most of the opportunities when a big barn will give them a shot, and you just hope that that success continues and floats on through the summertime.
Well, Jack, you've done a great job today getting your jocks on mount. So let's take a look at today's 8-race carding. We kick things off. Of course, we're fast and firm here in Southern California on the turf course. 6 furlongs is the distance. Maiden claimers, $50,000 is the claiming tag. The turf rails today are at 30 feet, and race 1 begins the popular 50-cent early pick 5. One scratch the bottom runner, leaves us with a field of 7. The original morning line favorite and the current betting choice at 1-2 is number 5, Devil Moon from the George Papadromo barn, ridden by Umberto Rispoli, who's second in the standings currently. Give us your thoughts on race 1.
Well, I thought, it was really hard to get around the favorite in here, Devil Moon. He comes out of, even though he is an 11-time maiden, which is probably the biggest knock on him. But the type of horses in his last few starts, the kind of company he's been keeping, and just the numbers he's running are just a little bit faster than most of these horses. So I think he's a deserving favorite and probably the most likely winner. Again, the biggest knock against him is the fact that he has run 11 times and with 5 seconds. So I think he'll be the horse to beat. Couple others in here that I thought, ran well in their last start. I rode a horse named Charlie's Ghost for Hector Palma last time with Giovanni. He needed the race, hadn't run in a year. Showed a little bit of speed, got tired the last part. I could see him stepping forward in this race quite a bit if he doesn't get ground up on the front end, and he's a bit of a price, and he could run good. Also, the other horse I ride with Kyle, Bolt from Heaven, has kind of a form that's a little bit hard to dissect. The kind of races he was been running in. He had a good, decent fourth, beaten 6 lengths in a maiden race at Del Mar last summer. And then went to Oaklawn for a little bit, didn't run well there. But, coming back here, if he happens to take to turf or the turf moves him up, I can see him running well.
The dam for Bolt from Heaven, who you were just describing, Jack, actually won 3 sprint races on the turf course. So it makes a little bit of sense that the connections are trying Bolt from Heaven on the turf course today. I have 3 questions for you, primarily that I want you to put your trainer hat back on. First of all, Bolt from Heaven is first-time turf. From a trainer standpoint, when do you decide to try a horse on the turf course for the first time?
I think it's all different. I think, a lot of times what you're doing with horses, it depends on how they train going up to their first race. If a horse trains outstanding or terrific on the dirt coming into their first race, and they don't have a pedigree that screams one surface or another, you'll usually have a tendency to stick with dirt until you're proven otherwise, because, they haven't, let's say their pedigree it could go either way. I think you will stick with dirt as long as they're training well. The 2 things that makes you think about turf right away is, one, that a horse with a lot of pedigree that maybe isn't training well, and you're just hoping that turf will do the trick, or a horse that just has turf pedigree top and bottom, and that's their future, and that's the plan with them all along. You'll just start with turf immediately and see what happens. Now, another little thing that I've noticed in the last few years that people with turf, with maidens especially, is that when tracks started to switch to a little bit of a deeper surface where the times became very slow, a lot of times it's tough to run first-time starters on that deep, tiring racetrack. And so a lot of times people will kind of have a tendency to go towards the turf with a first-time starter because it's quick and horses get over it so easily that they don't get real stressed for a first out, and it can be a good first experience for them. Not a lot of kickback. They don't get pelted with dirt the whole way, and so you get a kind of an encouraging first start for them to start their careers. And especially if a horse doesn't have maybe a lot of speed, you can sit back, make a run, and finish up good, and then you hope they gallop out good and move forward in their second start.
Second question for you, Jack, regards your top selection, number 5, Devil Moon, and you alluded to it. 0 for 11 maiden. As a trainer and maybe even for the owners, how frustrating is it to have a horse finish second 5 times and never get to the winner's circle? And you kind of rack your brain at night trying to figure out, how can I get this horse in the winner's circle?
Yeah, there's obviously all the small changes, equipment, different distances. A lot of times with horses like this, a lot of times you'll find that sometimes it's just a particular distance that they need. 6.5 over 6 or whatever it is, or a flat mile over sprinting. These horses, while they're money makers and they pay their bills, so most of the time from an owner standpoint, you don't get a lot of pushback from the owners. Their bills are getting paid. They're running decent races. They become horses that can become a bit frustrating. But as you've seen, Tom, over the years, a lot of these type of horses, take a Devil Moon for instance, if he was to win today, how many of those type of horses will come back in their next start and win again?
It's the light bulb angle.
Yeah, once they win a race, then they seem like they'll start stringing good races together.
And you mentioned numbers, whether they're Beyer speed figures or Ragozin sheets or whatever. Did you use those either as a trainer or do you use them as a jockey agent?
Yeah, I use a little bit of everything. I look at a lot of different things. Nothing steadfast per se. I'm more of a watching races themselves and physically watching horses run and seeing how they're finishing up or running their races, because as racetracks can change from day to day. You look at a racetrack on a Friday, and the first race could be a lot deeper and slower than Sunday in the 7th. And so just going on numbers alone without watching the races, I think is a little bit of a dangerous. So I'm more of a watching replays, and I like to watch. When I watch races in the afternoons, I'll watch a replay. I might run it back 5-6 times before the next race comes up.
Let's turn the page, Jack. Take a look at race number 2. We're on the main track, 1 mile of the distance. Fillies and Mares in for a $12,500 tag. Also, race 2 begins the 50-cent early pick 4. We've got a field of 5. The morning line favorite, number 1, Shreve Arbiter, 9-5 on the morning line. But you ride number 3, Flatter with Jewels, 5-2 on the morning line. Couldn't catch Shreve Arbiter last time. Give us your thoughts on race 2.
Yeah, so in race 2, I'm hopeful with Flatter with Jewels. In our last race, basically, Shreve Arbiter just kind of blew out to the front end, and Flatter with Jewels kind of tracked her the whole way. But I just think it was a soft enough pace where the Shreve Arbiter just kind of kept on running, never got softened up. I think there's a chance that maybe she could get a little bit more, pushed a little bit more early in this race. It could even be from the filly we're riding, Flatter with Jewels. She may stay just a touch closer to her, not let her get away. You've got a filly like Splicer coming out of a sprint. Was only 4 lengths off of 22 and change. She could be stretching out for the first time and dropping from that far, from 32 down to 12.5. She could show speed, so I could see maybe Shreve Arbiter getting a little bit more pressure on the front end. So we're hopeful with Flatter with Jewels that she'll run a good race, but Shreve Arbiter is as good as she ran last time. Is still probably the horse to beat.
Race number 3 on today's 8-race card begins the 20-cent Rainbow Pick 6. The jackpot single ticket carryover now up to $126,000. That amount plus whatever is wagered today will be yours if you're the only winning ticket. And we kick things off here back on the turf course sprinting. 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course for Calbred. Maiden special weight. Scratch the 5. Leaves us with a field of 5. The runner on the bottom is now the 8-5 morning line favorite, the first-time starter from the Jonathan Wong barn. Talk to us about race 3, Jack.
Yeah, I went over this a couple times. Short field. Jonathan Wong's horse looks very well meant. He didn't have to send him all the way down here with Golden Gate Works. He must like him a bit, and those works at Golden Gate all look very solid. Paid a decent amount of money for him. He's by Air Force Blue, whose most horses seem to move up really on the turf. So I think, he's obviously a very live horse. The horse I went to was the horse on the rail, Bronco Nagurski. Both his turf races were much better than his dirt races. I think he's the type of horse that will improve with racing. He's a kind of, if you look at him physically, he's a big gangly horse. Looks like he's just taken him a while to get it together. In this short field and back on the turf course, I think he'll be a very tough horse, Bronco Nagurski. Jonathan Wong's horse obviously looks live on paper, and then again, very hopeful with the one I ride with Giovanni in here, My Ransom. He's run some races in the past that on turf, running short on turf, that have been very competitive with these type of horses. He was the first time we rode him, he was second at 45-1, ran a very good race to Catalina Eddy, and then came back and was third, beaten 4 on the turf, and then they stretched him out to a mile, and I just don't seem to think that he wanted that. He seemed more like a late running sprinter. So the mile, I think you can throw out, and then obviously his last race was back on dirt, and he just doesn't seem like he's a dirt horse. So I see him maybe stepping up and moving back forward, and I can see him very well hitting the board.
Question for you in your top selection, Jack. Number 1, Bronco Nagurski. Trainer Stephen Miotti adds the blinkers. What goes into the decision of adding blinkers? Do you typically work a horse in blinkers first before adding blinkers, or is it kind of just on an individual case basis?
Yeah, you definitely want to train horses in blinkers before you put them on. You never know what adverse or beneficial thing they'll have. Typically I would always gallop horses for a few days first with blinkers before working them, and then maybe go ahead and work them with them. Steve's probably obviously seen something that is pushing him towards that, and it probably is more just getting. Like I said, he's a big, long, striding horse. Probably getting him up into the race a little bit more and getting him where he's a little more in a competitive position, turning for home. And I'm sure that's what the thinking was.
Race number 4 begins the 50-cent late pick 5. We're sprinting on the main track, 6 furlongs the distance. Fillies and mares, $32,000 claiming tag, non-winners of 2 races lifetime. We've got a field of 6. Morning line favorite from the Ian Kruljack bar, number 5, Gypsy Lynn, 5-2 according to morning line odds maker John White. You ride number 6, Love You Mean It from the Steve Knapp bar, and also take note Jose Valdivia, who rides number 3, Tenacious Lady, is 1 win away from career win number 2,000. But sentiment is for suckers. We need a winner in race number 4, Jack. Who's it going to be?
Yeah, in this race, I was looking at Hector Palmer's filly Storm d'Oro. She broke her maiden very impressively. Wasn't a lot behind her that day, but she did it in an impressive fashion. I think her last race on turf, going a mile, probably can be a throwout. Probably several different changes that she didn't like. And back to sprinting on the dirt with this quality of horses, I think she could probably step forward and be back, back in the winner's circle today, possibly. She looks to me like the tough horse on paper. Kyle's filly that he rides, Love You Mean It, has been coming out of very competitive races. We were riding this filly last year, and as a 2-year-old, and thought she was a very, very nice filly. And she was even entered in a stake at Del Mar.
And she beat the boys when she broke her maiden.
Yeah, she beat boys. She had a very tenacious way about her as a 2-year-old. I think she had a little small setback before some of the stakes at Del Mar last year and had to be scratched out of one of them. This year, coming back, she just hasn't quite been the same filly, but this is a definite drop in class, being a 32 non-2. She draws a kind of a cozy outside post. There may be enough speed in here to set it up for her. She doesn't have a lot of speed, but she'll come running, hopefully the last part. So I could definitely see her running well in here as well.
Race number 5 is a split of race 3, the exact same conditions. Maiden special weight Calbreds traveling 6.5 furlongs on the flat turf course. There's 1 4-year-old in the field, and also race 5 begins the 50-cent early pick 4. 2 scratches, scratch the 3 and 5, leaves us with a field of 5. Now the revised morning line favorite is the second-time starter, number 4, Sanjak from the Tim Yakteen barn, 9-5 on John White's morning line. This is a bit of a head scratcher simply because there's so many first-time starters.
Yeah, this race with the 2 scratches of Carla's horses, I thought this race became a very mixed, grab bag, actually, and a very weak race on paper. I kind of looked at the first-time starter, Maxville. It looks like he's been training not lights out, but solid enough. Being by Lakerville, I think that's a decent mare he's out of. I could see him running well first time out. I'm assuming that Ricky Gonzalez has been working this horse in the mornings. Don't know that for a fact, but if he has, I'm sure he likes the horse to be riding him in the afternoon. So I could definitely see him surprising a little bit as a first-time starter and running well. The other horse I was looking at in here was the bottom horse, Bob Hess's horse, Infinite Experience. Good combination between obviously with DeSormo and Hess. The horse's form is nothing to speak of, but this is, like I said, not a tough race. And if he's to move forward with the turf, he's by boisterous, could easily move up on grass and good cozy outside posts. I could see him running real well.
And the connections for Infinite Experience, number 7 in race 5, also eligible for the ship and win bonus that we offer here at the Great Race Place. Race number 6, we're traveling 1 mile on the main track. This is for maiden optional claimers. Again, it's a full field of 7. After the scratch of number 7, also all the runners here are all 3-year-olds. Take note that number 8, Ever a Rebel, is the 5-2 morning line favorite. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Jack, courtesy of our friends at xbtv.com, we want to watch a workout back on May 8th for Ever a Rebel. And you'll recognize the workmate here. It's a team drill. Let's go ahead and roll that tape. Take a look. Ever a Rebel is down on the inside in the white blinkers. On the outside is Tecumseh Caroline, a very efficient and multiple winner on the main track for trainer Phil D'Amato, is main track as well for Phil D'Amato, I should say. As we're watching this 5 furlong workout, I want you to watch the body language on the exercise rider for Ever a Rebel. Never at any point does he look panicked, nor is he really urging the horse with any sort of urgency. Tecumseh Caroline never really gets past him coming down the lane. Those are my thoughts. You've watched thousands, maybe millions of workouts for runners that you've trained, Jack. As we watch this workout, kind of what are some of the observations you see coming down the lane?
Yeah, this horse is working obviously well within himself, like you said, and doing everything very, very easily
with a nice horse to his outside.
Absolutely, and has a lot of horse and looks like a decent horse to watch him work. That's for sure. And he was my kind of top pick in here.
I think he's going to be the top pick for a lot of people. It's the first time going 2 turns. He's got a good improving by our speed figure pattern. He had a blinkers last time out. His race 2 back when he lost to Go Rock a Ride certainly holds up well. As you mentioned before, the connections for this son of Boltiero paid a handsome amount for him. There's a lot of things to like, particularly when you see that workout.
Sure, absolutely. The one obvious question mark is the distance. He's coming out of nothing but sprints, but with Phil, you just you have a lot of confidence, and he's very, very good at stretching horses out to 2 turns. And if he feels the horse will run well going 2 turns, I'm on board as well.
Race number 7 begins the $1 Golden Hour Pick 4, linking our last 2 races here with the last 2 races of Golden Gate. Always pays well, higher minimum, lower takeout, and we kick things off for the Golden Hour Pick 4 in race number 7, going 1 mile on the turf course for Calbred 3-year-old fillies, non-winners of 1 other than, in my opinion, probably the best betting race on the card. We've got a field of 7, 2 trained by trainer Brian Corner, including the morning line favorite, number 6, Sell the Dream, who's 2-1 on the morning line. But you ride 2 runners in here, Jack. You're aboard the Golden Gate shipper, number 3, Big Sis, Little Sis for Reed France, who broke her maiden against Open Company, now runs against Calbreds, and also Zizix. Those of us who have driven from Los Angeles to Las Vegas know exactly where that stop on the 15 freeway is. Very impressive, winning last time out at odds of 12-1 on the drop. Give us your thoughts on race 7.
Yeah, as far as both the fillies that we ride in here, obviously turf is a little bit of a question mark. So, and as far as class is a little bit of a question mark with Zizix. She comes out of a soft race where they ran 6.5 and 120. But it was off a layoff, and if she's to move forward, you could always be hopeful that she moves forward with the turf and having a start under her belt. I don't know a lot about the filly from Golden Gate. Broke her maiden up there. Spoke with Reed a few days ago. He seems to like this filly and thinks she's got a future. So we're obviously hopeful there. I thought this race on paper was a super competitive race. 3 very nice fillies in here, in my opinion, for Calbreds. Uncontrollable, Sell the Dream, and even Big Hopes, I think, is a filly that will get better with age. I see the race probably coming down between those 3 horses, and it's just a matter of who takes to the turf and the distance on the day. Both Sell the Dream and Uncontrollable have been very consistent fillies, and even it's such a wide open race. Even looking at the one horse, Golden Again has done very little wrong. Coming out of an older horse race against, she's a 3-year-old running against olders and ran very well. So this race it can go one of many, many ways, in my opinion.
And race number 8 closes out the day, which offers $5 golden hour daily double wagering. Similar concept. Last race here with the last race at Golden Gate, and we're going a mile and a 16th in race number 8 for maiden claimers. $20,000 is the claiming tag, a field of 9. Take note, number 8, Street Mogul is a first-time gelding, the morning line favorite. Number 5, Ice Storm, 5-2 on the morning line. You ride what I consider to be a live long shot here, Jack, and that's number 1, Dan's Till 10, debuted in a 14-horse maiden field at a higher level, now drops down in class, stretches out. Trainer Quinn Howie, very underrated, shipping down here from Golden Gate, although he's been training over at San Luis Rey. He can get the job done. I like the way he looked in the paddock. Should I bet him in the last race?
I could see this horse definitely being live today. When Kyle rode him first time out, he told me that the horse definitely wanted 2 turns. He said, I don't see this horse as being very live sprinting, but once he goes to 2 turns, I think he'll be a super live horse, and that's what we're hopeful for. So between that and the drop from Calbred 50 down to the maiden 20 level, I can definitely see him, hopefully in the second start moving forward. A lot of times when a horse has had just one start, sometimes it'll take them, in their second start being long, it'll take another start before they'll really show their very best. But I definitely, for a 20-to-1 shot morning line, I could see him as a very, very live commodity in here.
But you also give a little love to the morning line favorite, who's going to be tough to beat, basically dropping from maiden 50 into maiden 20.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ice Storm is a horse that's just, been thereabouts with much tougher types. With this drop in class, I can see this being right up his alley. He's got a little more recency than a lot of these horses in here, and he's been running well against tougher.
Jack, thank you so much for your time and insight today. Continued success both with jockeys Kyle Frey and Giovanni Franco. We're always super live whenever we have you as our seminar guest, and keep up the great work.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks to all of you for watching as well. Keep in mind, we'll have a Preakness Day card here tomorrow, first post, 1 p.m. Pacific. That means the seminar starts 11:50 a.m. Next voice you hear will be track announcer Frank Miramati updating us with any late program changes. Have a great day here at the Great Race Place, everybody. Have fun and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Santa Anita Park. The track is fast and the turf is firm. The rail on the turf course today is out 30 feet. Here are the changes. In the first, number 2 snapped down.